US dollar. In short, a completely new form of digital currency is in the works. And although you probably haven't heard much about this upgrade, at least not yet, anyway, most Americans haven't, rest assured, it is coming, and very soon. A new digital currency is coming to town, says Fortune journalist Philip Elmer DeWitt, and I can't wait to try it. Headline in Global News called it simply the next form of currency, similar to the advent of credit cards in the 1950s, debit cards in the 1980s, and online banking in the 1990s. This upgrade will completely, almost radically, reshape everything we know about money, from spending and saving to banking and finance, to investing and retirement. Already the global financial community is quickly gearing up for the massive digital overhaul, what is likely to be the biggest change to money in the U.S. in decades. The 6 largest banks in America, for example, including Bank of America, Citigroup, and Wells Fargo, have signed on to back this upgrade. The world's largest payments processing firm, First Data Corp, which processes more than 2,000 financial transactions every second, is on board too. And over 220,000 U.S. retailers, including McDonald's, Walgreens, Staples, Toys R Us, Target, Starbucks, Disney, Whole Foods, and Macy's have agreed to accept this new form of payment. The 3 major American credit card companies, Visa, MasterCard, and American Express, are 100% in full support of this transition. And here's the clincher. President Obama recently signed an executive order that supports this huge upgrade. Keep in mind, this upgrade will not replace the dollar. It won't compete against it. In short, it's designed to make the dollar better. For example, this upgrade, which according to some experts could actually render Bitcoin, PayPal, even traditional cash and credit cards obsolete, will finally bring near total security to online and retail dollar-based transactions. PC World says the upgrade could put an end to the massive credit card data breaches, such as those that recently occurred at Target and Home Depot. The implications of this are massive, says American Banker magazine, but it doesn't end there. Under the coming upgrade, retail and online credit transactions will be more private too, according to Bloomberg Businessweek. The same transactions will also be quicker than paying with conventional cash or even credit, and not to mention, much more convenient. That's why the New York Times calls this new payment upgrade groundbreaking, saying it could regularly replace cash, checks, and credit cards. Representative Shelley Moore Capito, Republican from West Virginia, says, "We are, I think, on a precipice of some fundamental change in the way money is exchanged between consumers and businesses. It could quite possibly be the single most perfect version of money ever created." For most, this is a welcome and long overdue change. Others are concerned about what the transition to a completely digital dollar might mean for the future of spending, saving, and investing in America. But here's the thing. It doesn't matter whether you're prepared or not. This upgrade is happening. TechCrunch, for one, calls it the payment vehicle for 2015 and beyond. Forbes calls it simply a new era of digital money. The bottom line, right now, we are in the initial stages of a totally new economic and financial paradigm in America. This upgrade is going to alter the lives of millions of people, making some very rich while leaving others behind. With an economic transformation of this magnitude, there's a heck of a lot of money to be made right now, in the extreme early stages. That's why the world's biggest and richest tech investors, from Google founders Larry Page and Sergey Brin to Apple CEO Tim Cook, are already on board. The good news is, it's still not too late for you to grab your piece of the pie. In this short video, I'm going to show you everything you need to know, why this upgrade is so important, what it means for the economy, your savings, your finances, and most importantly, I'll show you how to position yourself to make money in this game-changing trend. So please, pay close attention in the next few minutes. I'll even tell you about a super simple trade you can make right now. Today, one that could prove very profitable in the coming months. It's all right here in this video. Now let's get started. Hi, my name is Dr. David Eifrig. I spent more than a decade on Wall Street, working in arbitrage and trading groups at major investment banks including Goldman Sachs, Chase Manhattan, and Yamaichi in Japan. Today, I work at the largest independent financial research group in America called Stansberry Research, where I leverage my knowledge and experience from working at the biggest financial institutions to help everyday people uncover and even profit from a world of investment opportunities they might otherwise never hear about on their own. And that brings me to the subject of this presentation, the massive upgrade about to take place in the U.S. payment system. You see, like any emerging transformational money megatrend, like the development of credit cards, debit cards, and ATMs and online banking, this new currency upgrade is going to upend major entrenched industries. And anyone who knows what's coming and is positioned to take advantage could become ridiculously wealthy. Just how much money is at stake? Well, look at how cashing in on similar lucrative money transformations has worked out in the recent past. Take the development of the credit card industry as an example. In the 1950s, credit cards completely revolutionized consumer spending by allowing us to buy anything, anywhere, without having to carry cash. Investors who recognized this innovation in its early stages had the chance to see life-changing gains like 2,702%, 1,806%, and 3,178% on the businesses that built and supported the very first credit card systems. Savvy investors had an equally big opportunity again in the 1970s when the next big revolution in consumer spending came along. The advent of debit cards and ATMs provided a much-needed improvement to the credit card, combining the convenience of credit with the utility of cash. Early investments shot up as high as 2,160%, 686%, even 1,328% on the businesses that built and supported America's ATM and debit card networks. The next major change to money happened in the 1990s with online banking and bill pay, which enabled us to purchase goods, pay bills, and even take out a loan, all from the convenience of our home computers. Early investors who capitalized on this massive trend could have seen gains of 1,711%, 1,189%, and even as high as 3,942% on the businesses that supported the online banking infrastructure. The development of credit cards, debit cards, ATMs, and online banking were all intermittent steps along a path towards money spending efficiency. Now, the next revolution in money is here. It's one that JP Morgan is calling simply a game changer. And for those at the investing forefront of these sweeping changes, the rewards could be absolutely mind-boggling. And it's all set to happen before October 15th of this year. I'll explain why in a minute. But first, let me show you what this new form of payment will look like. How will it affect you, and how you can position yourself to make a fortune. Here's everything you need to know. The new payment revolution I'm talking about is called NFC. NFC stands for Near Field Communication. In its early form, NFC was used by the military to prevent friendly fire accidents. The technology was declassified in the mid-1990s. An NFC chip is essentially a tiny radio transmitter about the size of a ladybug. It's inactive until it receives a signal from another NFC-enabled device. The technology operates in a two-way manner so that information can be passed in both directions. NFC-ready devices must come within a few inches of each other to transfer data. NFC isn't a technology that might or might not work. It's already working. In fact, you might already be using it without even knowing it. If you've ever used a smart card to unlock a door, or if you have a car with a remote keyless entry system, you're using NFC. But now this technology is being adapted by banks, payment processing firms, credit card companies and retailers, and merchants across America to completely transform the way we pay for things. In short, with NFC technology, our wallets will be replaced by smartphones. Why smartphones? Well, everywhere you look, people are glued to their smartphones. Over half of all Americans now own one. Heck, a full 47% of Americans say they can't live a single day without their smartphone. We use them to check our email, to surf the web, as maps, to read the news, watch videos, connect with loved ones, you name it. But get this, according to Visa, Americans are now twice as likely to carry a mobile phone as they are cash. And those between the ages of 18 and 34, 4 times as likely. I'll say that again because it bears repeating. Americans are more likely to carry their smartphones than they are physical cash. So it makes perfect sense that people are now using their smartphones to pay for things too. And it's not just me saying this. Forbes writes, just as the magnetic strip revolutionized payment by plastic credit card, near-field communication will facilitate the move to payment using mobile technologies. Business Insider says, The mass adoption of smartphones and tablets has set the stage for a move away from fixed-point card-based transactions and towards those completed on mobile. I'll show you just how popular smartphones are becoming as a form of payment in just a moment. But first, let me show you exactly how it all works. Consumers simply store their credit or debit card information on their NFC-enabled mobile device, such as a smartphone. In 2014, by the way, more than 275 million smartphones, including the brand new iPhone 6, were made with NFC chips, and more than 4 times as many, over 1.2 billion phones, will contain these chips by 2018, according to research firm IHS Technology. This will happen in just 3 years. Once your data is stored on your phone, you will never need to swipe a debit or credit card again. Just wave your mobile phone near a reader like this, and you will be able to purchase practically anything. It's that simple. As you're about to see, this new technology, this incredibly simple and new way to pay for things, is faster, more convenient, safer, and even more secure than any other payment method previously devised. For starters, a huge advantage with this technology is that you can safely and securely store multiple credit and or debit cards on a single smartphone. No need to find your card in your wallet or even type a PIN. No need to go to the ATM or fumble with change. Faster payment means faster lines at checkout and improved customer service, as sales clerks can spend more time focusing on customer service rather than dealing with clunky cash registers. Plus, another great benefit is that in addition to credit and debit card accounts, with the help of an app, you can store rewards cards and loyalty points from various stores too, as shown here. Simply load loyalty or rewards points onto your phone and go straight to your account without ever digging out another card. The convenience this technology promises is nothing short of amazing. It's going to totally reinvent the retail buying experience. But perhaps you're thinking, sure, this all sounds great, but what about theft? What if my phone gets stolen? And what about privacy and security? The new NFC-enabled smartphones address all these concerns beautifully. You see, storing this information all in one place on your smartphone may sound risky at first, but when you see how it all works, you'll see it's actually much safer than holding a physical wallet. If your wallet gets stolen, for example, a crook has immediate access to all your credit cards, debit cards, cash, and your IDs. You can't password protect your wallet, but you can password protect your smartphone. A thief can't use your cards if they can't unlock your phone. Plus, unlike most wallets, GPS-enabled smartphones can be tracked down and recovered. But what about security? What about all the data hacking that's been going on? Isn't your info at more risk going digital? Well, this is where the NFC payment technology really shines. Currently, traditional point-of-sale or credit card swiping terminals include a number of risks while processing transactions. Your information is vulnerable to cashiers who can see your plastic credit card at checkout, or waiters and waitresses who run your card at restaurants. Retailers' databases, as we've seen in recent months at Target and Home Depot, for example, are vulnerable to hackers as well. But here's the thing. Under the new NFC system, your personal information is much safer than ever before. Why? Because your phone doesn't actually carry your credit card number, but rather a unique number that serves as a digital representation or token for your credit card. In the technology world, this is known as tokenization. Business Insider says tokenization ensures that no party except your card issuer ever stores your personal card info. Forbes contributor Mark Rogowski says this is pretty much the most secure way to pay by credit card ever mass deployed. Furthermore, when you make a payment, the phone's special NFC chip sends an additional, uniquely generated payment code as well, not your credit card information. Each code is used only once, so even if it is intercepted, it is of no use to the thieves. Under this new payment system, no retailers, merchants, not even the cashiers, will see customers' names or credit card information. Mark Keller, ex-global director, senior VP of Citi, Bank of America, and research at MIT Labs, calls tokenization the biggest trend in the payments industry in the US. Do you see how this technology could radically shape the payment landscape? Okay, so I've shown you how NFC is faster, more convenient, safer, and even more secure than any other payment method previously devised. Cash, credit cards, debit cards, and online payments. The question you're probably asking is, will people actually do this? Will people be willing to widely adopt a new way to pay for things? And the answer is, they already are. Maybe you've heard of, or maybe you even use Starbucks' new mobile payment app. a prepaid mobile payment technology that lets you pay for coffee and other items at Starbucks simply by waving your smartphone over a reader at checkout. The program was launched in 2012 and so far has been nothing short of an astounding success. According to the company, the Starbucks payment app brought in $1.2 billion in revenue in 2013. The company is expecting to process a full $2 billion in 2014. And as you can see in this chart, Starbucks is now getting 6 million mobile payment transactions per week. This is just a staggering amount of transactions for a single retailer, says Forbes. Now a full 15% of transactions at U.S. locations are made by using a mobile device. Incredible. And Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz says this is only the beginning. The coffee seller is just getting started when it comes to mobile payments, and this is just one example. By now you've probably heard about Apple Pay, Apple's wildly popular mobile payment technology, which employs NFC. Apple Pay is now available on the latest version of the iPhone 6. In just the first few days of launching, Apple sold over 10 million iPhone 6 smartphones. Apple is on pace to sell as many as 80 million iPhone 6s in the fourth quarter of 2014, which would break the company's all-time record of 51 million iPhones sold in a single quarter. Already, the effects of Apple Pay are being felt in the retail community in a powerful way. Have a look at some of the early reports. The amount of mobile payment transactions at drugstore chain Walgreens, for example, has already doubled on account of Apple Pay. Already a full 50% of mobile purchases at McDonald's are made by using Apple Pay. And get this, in just the first 17 days of launching Apple Pay accounted for about 1% of all transactions at grocery retailer Whole Foods. I realize 1% might not sound like much, but given that 1% of sales at Whole Foods includes over 150,000 transactions and over $6 million in goods, it's actually quite impressive, especially given the fact that all of this occurred in just the first 17 days of Apple Pay's launch. Similar results are starting to pour in from additional restaurant and retailers all over America, including Staples, Toys R Us, Target, Disney, Macy's, Bloomingdale's, the Sports Authority, Panera Bread, Subway, Chevron, Texaco, Foot Locker, Nike, Petco, Babies R Us, Office Depot, BJ's Wholesale Club, Radio Shack, Apple Store, and Champs, just to name a few. Apple Pay is already working with 90% of the country's most used payment cards. Keep in mind, we are still at the very beginning of this long-term trend. The iPhone is just one tiny part of the emerging $721 billion global NFC payments industry. To give you an idea of just how big this is becoming, take a look at the full list of NFC-enabled phones that are now available or will be in the coming months. Pretty incredible, right? And in case you're wondering if this new payment technology might be a fad or a flash in the pan, just consider some very smart and important people actually thought credit cards would amount to nothing more than a short-lived fad. It's true. The founding father of the credit card industry, for example, Frank McNamara, the guy who created the Diners Club card in 1950, believed so much that credit cards were just a fad that he sold his share of the business just 3 years after starting it for $200,000. Diners Club, of course, went on to be one of America's premier credit cards. By the mid-1960s, it had 1.3 million members and was accepted all over the world. The company was valued at more than $56.5 million, more than $411 million in today's dollars. And it wasn't just with credit cards. Lots of people thought debit cards would never catch on either. They said the same thing about online banking, too. Of course, each of these payment revolutions went on to be multi-billion, even trillion-dollar industries, creating massive windfalls for savvy investors who recognized their potential and took early stakes in them, despite the naysayers. My point is, I believe NFC is in the same exact position as credit cards were in the 1950s, debit cards in the 1970s, and online banking in the 1990s. Which means, right now, we are perfectly positioned to capitalize on this massive new trend. The numbers don't lie. Just a few years ago, in 2012, 120 million cell phones were equipped with NFC. By 2013, that number more than doubled to 275 million phones. And by 2018, that number will grow fourfold to 1.2 billion NFC-enabled phones, according to IHS Technology. And things are projected to grow at an incredible rate. Take a look at this chart. The use of in-store mobile payments is expected to grow by a factor of 42. That's 4,100% by 2018, according to Business Insider. And according to research firm Gartner, we're looking at a total market value of $721 billion in worldwide global payments by 2017. Simply put, NFC is catching on like wildfire. Already a full 40% of North Americans have used their smartphone to make a payment at a merchant location, up more than double from just 2 years ago, according to research firm Accenture. And that number is growing larger every day. That's why TechCrunch recently called it the payment vehicle for 2015 and beyond. Consumers want NFC. Businesses want NFC. Now the U.S. government wants it too. President Obama, for example, recently signed an executive order that will get the government ready for the mobile payments revolution by requiring various agencies to get on board with new technology by 2015. The good news is, we're still in the early days of the mobile payments revolution. I firmly believe taking an investment stake now is like getting in on the credit card, debit card, and online banking revolutions of previous decades, where investors had the chance to see life-altering gains. So how do you capitalize on this? Of course, one obvious trade you could make right now is to buy shares of Apple. The consumer tech giant, for example, will get 15 cents for every $100 spent using Apple Pay. While that may not sound like much, just consider if Apple Pay captures even just a tiny percentage of the $13 trillion in credit, debit, and cash transactions that occur worldwide every year, Apple's revenue will surge. But here's the thing. Apple is the largest publicly traded company in America right now. It's currently trading for over $100 per share. While I believe Apple is a good investment and its shares will continue to rise, it's likely not going to make you thousands of percent gains anytime soon. You see, I've uncovered a much bigger opportunity in the world of NFC I recommend you take advantage of right away. Things are moving very fast. If you want to make the most amount of money possible, you must act quickly. Let me explain. I have over 1,000 pages of research and reports sitting in my office which I'd like to show you regarding the NFC revolution. Take a look at this chart showing how venture capital is piling in, how an additional 500 financial institutions have announced they are going to make the switch to NFC by 2015, according to the Wall Street Journal. How the world's largest payments processing firm, First Data Corp, which processes more than 2,000 financial transactions every second, is on board too. It's no secret that NFC is about to change the world. But there's one more thing I haven't told you about, something most Americans don't know about, which practically guarantees NFC will be an absolute slam dunk for early investors over the next 12 to 24 months. And that is, major credit card companies are mandating the use of a technology that enables NFC at merchant locations throughout the U.S. by October 2015. It's called the EMV mandate, and it is a major, major deal. You see, the EMV mandate requires virtually every merchant in America to make the switch to chip and PIN payment terminals by October 2015, or else be liable for fraudulent charges resulting from using outdated machines. It also coincides with Obama's executive order, which will require federal agencies to adopt EMV technology. What's chip and PIN, and what does that have to do with NFC? Chip and PIN is essentially the next generation credit card, the successor to the traditional magnetic stripe card. As you're probably aware, credit card technology has gone largely unchanged over the last several decades, which is why there have been all sorts of security issues with magnetic swipe cards in recent years. Chip and PIN works by using data encryption via a computer chip embedded in the card and a private 4-digit PIN code. Once the credit card is inserted into a reader, a security chip encrypts the exchange of information. A 4-digit PIN, known only to the cardholder, is required to complete the transaction. This double layer of protection makes in-store credit card transactions much more secure than magnetic swipe cards. In fact, they've been using this standard in Europe and Canada for years to dramatically reduce instances of fraud. So what does all this have to do with NFC? In short, chip and PIN and NFC are two technologies that work together. They complement each other. Think of chip and PIN as the contact or swipe version and NFC as the contactless version. Because of this connection, the top manufacturers are including both chip and PIN and NFC in nearly all payment terminals going forward as they gear up for the October mandate. By 2017, a full 86% of payment terminals in North America will accept NFC, according to research firm Berg Insight. If you're an investor, it translates into a rare opportunity to make a lot of money over the next 12 to 24 months. Here's what I mean. You see, situations like this, ones where the use of a specific product or service is mandated, are essentially as good as gold in the investment world. These opportunities don't come around very often, but when they do, they can create a huge profit windfall for investors in a very short period of time. You may remember, for example, the recent federal healthcare mandate requiring every American to be insured. Whether or not you agree with the law is not my point. You see, what most people don't realize is how the share prices of most publicly traded health insurance stocks in the months leading up to and even after the mandate went into effect absolutely soared, making savvy investors extremely wealthy. Companies like United Health Group, Cigna, Aetna, and Humana soared as high as 250%. It was almost the exact same story with the 2006 federal mandate requiring corn-based ethanol to begin being included in all U.S. gasoline. Again, share prices of ethanol producers absolutely exploded before and after the mandate went into effect. Companies like MGP Ingredients, Archer Daniels Midland, and the Andersons went up as much as 750% in the run-up. As you could probably tell from these charts, the biggest gains were typically made by investors who took the earliest investment stakes well before the mandates went into effect. If you want to see the biggest possible gains, that's exactly what I think you should do with the new nationwide EMV mandate. Get in early. Remember, all merchants in the U.S. must comply with the new payment standard by October 2015, or risk giving up a huge portion of their profits when they're held liable for fraudulent charges without the protection of this more secure payment technology. The good news is, it's still early in the game. Currently, only 10% of U.S. merchants today are equipped to accept the new EMV payment standard, according to payments industry research firm Javelin Strategy and Research. With an estimated 9 million retail locations in the U.S., there are literally millions of payment terminals that must be converted between now and October. And remember, the vast majority of these new readers will include NFC technology. Right now, it's at the crucial part in the NFC development timeline. This idea is so potentially profitable for early investors that I recently put together a special report. It's called How to Cash In on the NFC Revolution. My report includes all of the important details about investing in NFC technology. For example, one of the best ways to play this trend is to invest in the companies that supply the necessary hardware that make the technology work. Specifically, I'm talking about the NFC chips that go inside the smartphones and the point-of-sales terminals, soon to be essentially mandated throughout the U.S. The number of EMV-ready payment terminals, which the vast majority will be enabled for NFC, for example, will rise from 1.5 million in 2013 to 12.4 million by 2017, according to Business Insider. And the number of NFC chips in smartphones will reach more than 1.2 billion by 2018. In my report, I'll introduce you to the premier NFC chipmaker in America. This company actually co-invented the technology. So it's no wonder this company commands a whopping 80% of the NFC chip market. No, it's not Apple or Samsung or any other smartphone maker. In fact, I bet 99% of the investing public has never even heard of this company before. But I'm confident all of that will change as the nationwide EMV mandate approaches and merchants begin to accept NFC payments as part of the upgrade. Heck, I wouldn't be surprised if this little-known firm becomes a household name over the next few years. That's in part because this is a company that supplies the chips for what will likely become the most widely used NFC phone in America, the iPhone 6. JP Morgan estimates as many as 235 million iPhones could be sold in 2015. That would make it the best-selling iPhone of all time. Baby. Can you imagine how the coming NFC revolution will affect this company's share price? we're already starting to see some early effects. This chipmaker's earnings, for example, are on the move, big time, having risen 36% or more in each of the past 8 quarters. Analysts expect profit for the fourth quarter 2014 to rise an additional 33%. Institutional investors are taking notice of this company too. There's been a huge jump in fund ownership in recent quarters, including an increase from 785 funds to 860 in the third quarter of 2014. Billionaire investors Mario Gabelli, George Soros, and David Tepper have all taken significant ownership stakes. Shares are up 60% over the last 12 months, but that's peanuts compared to what I think could happen as the nationwide EMV mandate approaches, with its implications for the rise of NFC technology. USA Today, for one, says this company is in the sweet spot of all things cybersecurity and mobile payments. As I said, you'll learn all about this company in my report. And this is just the beginning. In my report, I'll also introduce you to a company that makes NFC chips for smartphones in the under $150 market, the so-called budget smartphone market. Why budget smartphones? Because the market for these phones is going to absolutely explode over the next few years as emerging economies like China, India, and Singapore begin their own adoption of near-field communication. China Mobile, for example, China's largest mobile network company, recently announced the launch of an NFC payment service in more than 14 Chinese cities, including Shanghai, Beijing, and Guangzhou. Already, 8 banks have signed up to back the initiative. Similar NFC initiatives were recently introduced in Singapore, South Korea, Japan, the Philippines, India, and Turkey. By 2017, budget smartphones will make up a full 52% of the worldwide market, according to a study from Informa, Telecoms, and Media. In short, there are incredible gains to be made, and you do not want to overlook this market. I expect the company that makes the NFC chips for the budget smartphone market to skyrocket in the coming months and years.